Hi everyone. I want to help you with trinomial factoring. Factoring is such an important skill in mathematics, but it's not one that comes easily. It's not obvious to a lot of people. However, it's not even all that hard of a concept. It's kind of like, honestly, it's kind of like learning, let's say, learning to drive a standard. Okay? It takes a while, it takes a lot of practice, but once you get it, you get it. You just get comfortable with it, it becomes natural to you. Trinomial factoring is a lot like that. Okay, takes a little bit of getting used to. You got to kind of get over that hump, and then once you're there, you're good. Now, to start off with, what we're going to do here is we're going to take a couple of binomials. We're going to multiply them together, because I'll show you here what we mean. This is what a trinomial would look like in factored form. This is our goal here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this. We're going to expand this out, get an answer, and then I'm going to show you how we get back to this. Okay? So now, first of all, I'm going to expand this out. And remember how that works here. We take both terms from this first binomial and they get distributed to both terms in the second binomial here. It's just a distribution. So 3x will get multiplied by 2x plus 5. And then the negative 2 will also get multiplied by 2x plus 5. 3x gets distributed to those terms, and we get 6x squared plus 15x when I distribute the 3x to those two. Negative 2 then gets distributed to these two terms. We get negative 4x and then minus 10. Now, what causes the problems when we start factoring is that I now am going to put these two terms together. I'm going to combine them. So 6x squared, well, positive 15 and negative 4 is going to get me 11x with a negative 10 at the back there. And the fact that those two get combined together, that's what causes some of the difficulty here, because it's kind of difficult to undo that little bit of addition there, the adding of the negatives there, okay? So now we're going to take a look at how to go backwards from here and take us right back to the beginning here. And there are several methods that can be used to do this. All right, so I want to show you the grid method of factoring. So here's our trinomial. Okay, and we're going to use this grid method here. I know several people that really like this. What the grid method basically is what we're going to do is we're going to create a little box right here. Now, the first term here, the 6x squared, we're going to put right here. That last term, the negative 10, we're going to put down here. So essentially what we've got is we're breaking this thing apart into this little grid right here. The reason why this is appealing to a lot of people is because it's quite visual. Okay, if you think back to your algebra tiles, the way those work, we're taking the expression up here, we're multiplying the expression up here to create an area. So really what we're doing is we're interpreting this trinomial essentially as an area. Now, I still run into the difficulty if I need to figure out what these two terms are, and these two terms are going to come from 11. Okay, I'm going to break 11 up into two terms here. Okay, now I need some direction with that, so what I'm looking for here, everybody, I'm going to find the two terms, okay, whose product is, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take that 6, I'm going to multiply by negative 10, so it's going to give me negative 60. So I'm looking for two terms whose product is negative 60, whose sum is going to be the coefficient there, that 11. So when I find those two numbers here, those are going to fit in these two spots here on my grid, okay? Now, it might not be clear to you right off the top of your head what the factors are of negative 60 that are going to have a sum of 11. So one thing you can do to help yourself out here, if you're not clear on that, is to use your calculator, and I'll show you real quick. If we're going to press the y equals button, okay, to get into this menu here, and I'm going to enter in negative 60 divided by, I'll use this button right here, my variable button, x. Now, once I'm here, I'll press second graph to access the table of values. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start going up and down here. The calculator has provided this list of x coordinates and then shown me what happens when it divides by negative 60 by those x coordinates. So I'm looking for values that give me 11, positive 11 as a sum. Now right here I see 4 and negative 15. That's close. That gives me negative 11 as a sum, which inspires me to go down and look positive 15 and negative 4. There's where my 11 is coming from. So 15, negative 4, 15, negative 4. So now what I've been able to do is break that 11 up into the two numbers that I'm interested in. So I'm going to make this, let's say, 15x, and I will put the negative 4x here. It doesn't really matter if you swap those two, makes no difference. Now what I do, and this is quite nice here, now what I do is I'm going to just go along the rows and along the columns. Remember that this is an area, essentially. So this number multiplied by this number gets me 6x squared. This number multiplied by this number right here, or expression I should say, should give me 15x. Now, to guarantee that that happens, I'm going to start pulling out common factors. So I'm going to go up this column here. What's common between 6x squared and negative 4x? And the answer is between 6 and negative 4. Now, because this is positive up here, I'm going to let the first term here dictate what sign I use. 2x. Then I'm going to look at this one right here. Again, I'm starting with a positive 15, so I'm going to let that dictate what expression, what sign I use up here. Between 15 and negative 10, it's going to be 5, positive 5. Now I'm going to go along the row. Between 6x squared and 15x, okay, well, between 6 and 15, there's going to be a common factor of 3x. And then here, between the negative 4 and the negative 10, now, like I said, I'm going to let the one that's closest to the edge here dictate the sign. So this is going to be negative. And between negative 4x and negative 10, the common factor is negative 2. Now, let's just verify that this did what I needed it to do. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. Awesome. 3x times 5 is 15x. Awesome. Negative 2 times 2x is negative 4x. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. There, everything is right there. And so I grab my factors now from the two sides of this grid here. So I'm going to get 2x plus 5 multiplied by 3x minus 2. And if I compare this to the trinomial that we started, or the expression that I started with, there it is, 3x minus 2, 2x plus 5. So the grid method works. And what's nice about the grid method is it's just a very nice way of organizing this material. It's quite easy to see how the expressions relate to each other. And it's a method that I think everybody's kind of familiar with, because you're familiar with the idea of using the length and the width here as terms to help you find the area. Okay?